So this is a film, as I said, that works on a number of different levels. It's a film, I think, one of the ways in which we can feel very viscerally as viewers of this film, one of the ways we can feel how it works or that it works on different levels at once, is the fact that I think for most of us, it leaves us with a strange feeling. We might describe it as an uncanny feeling. There's something in excess of the events of the film that imprint themselves on our emotional response to it after it. We're left with something strange, something uncanny. In other words, the film does something to us as viewers that is unusual and hard to figure out or identify. So I'm going to explore what this feeling is, where it comes from, what it means. I think it's connected to the film's basic setup of quarantine and lockdown. To understand this film, the first place to start, I think, is at what we might call its narrative system, the way in which it tells its story, or in fact, its multiple stories. I'm going to give you one quick piece of narrative theory, which is this. All stories are two stories. We have the facts that we are given and the process by which these facts are revealed to us. This is the most visible in detective fiction, where we have the facts of the crime and the story of the investigation by which the facts of the crime come to light. But in fact, all stories have this double nature, the facts and then the way the facts are presented or revealed. In the case of Rear Window, the first story is the story of the Thorwalds across the courtyard from where Jeff lives. This is a story of a married couple that ends in murder. The second one is the story of how the story of the Thorwalds is pieced together. The story of the investigation of Jeff watching and drawing conclusions. This second story, the story of Jeff watching, the investigation if you like, also gives us the story of Jeff and Lisa. That's how that story comes to light, the story of Jimmy Stewart's relationship with Grace Kelly. We see them interact and we begin to understand something about their relationship as their investigation proceeds. So the basic narrative structure of this film is a doubling. Jeff investigates the Thorwalds relationship that ends in murder, and Jeff's investigation, Jeff's watching of this, reveals to us, the viewers, Jeff and Lisa's relationship. And if you think about what we do, how we watch, while this investigation is going on, we look for clues about the relationship between them, because we don't get any of the backstory, we don't see them meet, we're not given any information about them. We have to draw our own conclusions by watching them engage in this investigation together. We learn about their class difference. We learn that she lives uptown and he lives downtown. We understand that they have different ambitions, different tastes in life. They have different reactions to events, and especially, they have different ideas about where the relationship is headed. But this process of looking at them, thinking about them, and trying to draw conclusions about them puts us, the viewers, in the position of Jeff. As Jeff is to the Thorwalds, we are to Jeff and Lisa. So we are in the position, like Jeff is, of watching a relationship and trying to figure it out. So we have a number of parallels at work here already. A parallel between Jeff and Thorwald, or between the Thorwalds on one hand and Jeff and Lisa on the other, and between Jeff and the viewer. Why is this? We'll look at this, the many reasons behind this in a moment. But first I want to show you two clips that show how this aspect of the film is highlighted by the very unusual camera work that Hitchcock employs here. So in this first clip, you'll see how in what is a fairly straightforward convention in cinema, we mostly only see what Jeff sees. He's the eyes through which the movie is filmed. When he cranes to see, we crane as viewers with him. We can't follow Thorwald onto the street. Jeff is watching Thorwald. We can't follow him onto the street just the way Jeff can't. And when Jeff falls asleep, we don't see what happens. But now look at what happens in this clip from just a little bit later, in which the camera turns us, the viewers, almost into characters in the movie ourselves. Here, even though Jeff is asleep, we, the viewers, are awake. We're able to watch, and we watch the sleeping Jeff. We're locked in the room with him too. In other words, we are also put on lockdown. The film, the camera work, puts us in lockdown too. It gives us restricted vision. We are immobilized. This has the effect of creating a narrative of voyeuristic desire in us. Narrative desire. In other words, we almost want to rummage around Jeff's apartment or run down the stairs after Thorwald. This camera work emphasizes the fact that knowledge, especially visual knowledge, is withheld from us, the viewers, the same way that it's withheld from Jeff, who is immobilized in his apartment. Just like Jeff, we want to see more and we want to know more. There is a parallel between the way Jeff watches his neighbors and the experience of a spectator who is watching a film. So the film is thinking about the nature of film, the nature of spectatorship itself. This film uses the predicament of quarantine, the immobilization of lockdown, in order to explore the relationship in cinema between suspense, desire, and pleasure, and especially the relationship between all of these things and the strange gender roles that we see in cinema. I think the film suggests that there's something troubling in the fact that very often what we are straining to see in cinema, not just in this film, in cinema in general, what we often are straining to see or wondering about, what often generates our visual suspense, is a female body. And it's a female body that is often killed or murdered or harmed. We have this minor character called Miss Torso, who crops up again and again in the film. And this character, the way in which she's observed by Jeff, but also her name, suggests this aspect of gender and cinema. And this is, I won't go into it too much more, but it's something you might think about if you watch the film again. I think the film is posing the quite troubling question about whether there is an inherent relationship between visual pleasure of cinema and violence.